The Larotrectinib development program was composed of 3 separate trials. There was an adult phase 1 trial, and then a pediatric phase 1 trial, and an adult and adolescent phase 2 basket study called Navigate. The inclusion criteria basically for the phase 1 studies was broader. However, looking at the registrational data set that was published in the New England Journal of Medicine, essentially these were patients whose cancers had an NTRK fusion that were consecutively identified, and that came up to a total of 55 cases. Larotrectinib achieved a very impressive objective response rate. By investigator assessment, this was 80%, and by central radiologic confirmation, this was 75%. And I'd like to underscore the fact that these were responses across different solid tumor types, and so this wasn't limited to one histology as we classically see in other clinical trials. These responses were durable, and the median duration of response has not yet been reached as of the last data cutoff, and certainly many of these patients remain on therapy several years after they've initiated treatment with Larotrectinib. The interesting results from this data set showed that there was tumor-agnostic activity of Larotrectinib, meaning it didn't matter what your cancer looked like under the microscope. As long as your cancer harbors a TRK fusion, you have a proclivity for response to Larotrectinib. And if you look at the waterfall plot, a best objective response to Larotrectinib, you'll see that there were many different tumor types that harbor these fusions that then nicely responded to treatment. So there was no difference based on tumor type.
So Larotrectinib, relative to many of the other small molecule kinases, has shown to be incredibly safe and well tolerated. The most common side effect so far we've seen is some increase in the AST and ALT, fatigue, and some dizziness. Oftentimes this dizziness actually improves over time while the patients are on study. And as the durability data has shown, very few patients have actually come off because of toxicity, and the efficacy to date has been fairly remarkable in the sense that not only are these patients responding, those who have NTRK fusions, but the durability of patients on study has been remarkable for even a small molecule inhibitor. The longest so far that as of the cutoff date of March of 2017 was almost 27 months on study, the longest patient.
One of the distinguishing characteristics of the patients that were treated on the Larotrectinib program was that this was a population of patients who were had become refractory to standard of care agents for their particular diseases. So this is a question we get a lot, and we know that Larotrectinib was able to generate this robust efficacy in patients who had relapsed on available therapy or for whom there were no standard therapies available based on their tumor type.